Hello, welcome back, everyone. So, here is the Vision Quest Tarot. I made mention about a month or so ago that I have been on the search for a indigenous Native American influence deck. And there's quite a few decks out there, Native American Tarot. Another decks that focus specifically on the Native American tribes and their practices, their spiritual practices, traditional wise. And here's the funny, interesting thing is that I had seen this deck, like, I don't know, probably about 1 or 2 years ago. And very similar experience with the Wildwood Tarot when I was looking for an animal nature spiritual influence deck. I saw the Wildwood Tarot probably about 5 years ago, and I just passed it. And it was until about last summer, that I felt the calling of that deck, especially working with the seasons and the Sabbats. And that deck spoke so strongly with me. And of course, it's a deck that I use with my Sabbat readings. But here, the Vision Quest Tarot, I cannot remember. I think I saw Kelly from the Truth and Story share this deck on her video. And more than likely on another channel, I saw this deck. And talk about timing. Timing is everything. So here I am. I just recently relocated out of state and moved into the state of New Mexico, which has quite a few Native American tribes here. And moving here, and just it was more energy than anything else. And the culture, I was becoming quite enamored with the spirit of Native American tradition. Now, this is something that I will be exploring while I'm here. And so with that being said, that's when I began my search or my quest for a deck that I felt not so much represented Native American tribes, because there's hundreds of tribes throughout North America, and each of them have similar or have different perspectives of how to do their practice, what energies, what forces they focus on, the tools that they use. So when looking for a Native American inspired deck, somehow the Vision Quest did not pop up. It was the Native American Tarot and a few other decks that came up, and I took a look at those, and some of them seemed to be more tribe specific based on their dress and some of their beliefs. So I did I did some research into these particular decks, and I found some reviews from Native American tribe individuals that felt that the deck was not an appropriate depiction and explanation of their practices. So I kind of held off. I felt, you know what, maybe I shouldn't even touch this topic or explore this topic of Native American spiritual beliefs and practices. And good old Kelly from the Truth and Story, she did a recent video where it was irreplaceable decks. I did her hashtag, and she was showcasing this deck as one for irreplaceable decks. And when I saw it, I was like, that's the deck. This is the deck that I'm looking for. And she didn't show the entire deck, but you know, she went through a few cards, and every card was speaking to me. It was calling to me. The deck is very simple. You know, the focus is on the individuals. This deck, which I love by looking at the cards, isn't heavily depicted showing the Native American tribes people. They are for the court cards, but for the suits, and I believe for some of the major arcana, I'll go through this deck to show you some of the cards, isn't heavily human depicted, which I appreciate. And I had made mention that when there's human depiction in tarot cards, there's automatically this association, especially when we're putting thought into a reading and trying to get guidance. We can easily start associating the image or the landscape of where the person's located to something related to us. There's nothing wrong with that, but I feel it becomes a distractor. So you see a card that represents a certain kind of animal. It could represent the energy of an animal companion you had. It could represent that specific animal companion. Human, the court cards could represent a grandfather, mother figure, brother, sister. And then what happens is I feel that the energy shifts. So the beauty with this deck here is just in the court cards, and again, I believe in the major arcana cards, there's not so much emphasis on the humans, on the tribes people. I'm not saying that they shouldn't have that in this deck. I just feel it just kind of detracts from it. But we are humans, we still need that connection to the different kinds of characteristics and personalities that humans represent, as well as animals, elements, so on and so forth, because we are made up of all these elements and all these energies that are outside. So, with that being said, here is a overview of this deck. And before I get started, I was also thinking about decks to work with. Some of the decks that came to mind, decks to work with this, with the Vision Quest. Right off the bat, Animal Spirit Oracle deck by Krans. Okay. Now, the Animal Spirit Oracle deck here deals with all four elements in a different way, as opposed to the Native American spirit animals, totem animals. But I feel with these four elemental energies coming from the Animal Spirit Oracle deck, it can still bring in insight into this deck. Another deck I was thinking of is the Witch's Wisdom. And more for the, show a card here, more for the nature, the elemental influence of this deck, I think could come in very nicely with the Vision Quest. Another deck too that I'm looking to see about connecting with the Vision Quest is the Crow's Magic Tarot by Londa Marks. Okay, the deck isn't fully crows, but it does have the influence of the crows and other animals associated with the deck. Only deck that I'm still 50-50 about to use the Vision Quest Tarot with is the Wildwood Tarot, because this has more of Celtic influences, but also its connection to nature. And so, as I'm looking at this deck right now, I could see some of the influences coming into play with the Vision Quest, so I will be mindful when working with the Wildwood Tarot with the Vision Quest to see just how they communicate with each other. And I will potentially just do a reading between the two decks, a brief reading just to see how they communicate. And I think that's the best way to work an outside deck with a new deck, just to see how they communicate, what cards come up when they're together. Alrighty, let's get right to the Vision Quest Tarot. So here we have our white book. Again, I'm not going to go through this because there are quite a few walkthroughs of this deck. There, I just opened up to the moon. So we have here the unconscious. We have the essence, which is pretty similar. Let's see, the essence, outward manifestation, inner message. These three topics or subject headings, very similar to the Witch's Wisdom. There are 3 levels in the Witch's Wisdom that breaks down the meaning of the cards, and this is very similar here from what I see. The words are different. Here we have chaos for the tower. The star remains the same with its name. Transformation, relay it to death. So it's good to see that this deck doesn't hold the RWS meanings. This is called the Vision Quest Tarot, taken from the perspective of Native American spirituality. So we're going to see a different perspective of the tarot through the eyes of shaman belief systems and Native American tradition. This is the back of the cards. Beautiful, very simple. We just have this one bird flying out into the distance. Beautiful energy. And it's the back, obviously, or the front. And here's our boxing from AGM, Urania. This originally came out in 1998, and I believe a second reprint came out 2021. I think there may have been another edition printed out between 1998 and 2021. So, excuse me. So, this deck by Gayan, Sylvie, Winter, and Dosé is very strong for me. One thing I wanted to point out when I started going through this book, many of you know that I just did a move, as I mentioned earlier, to New Mexico. And I want to share something that kind of surprised me, or not kind of, but did surprise me. When reading this guidebook, okay, it just goes the introduction, and then I just kind of flipped to the end. I was reading this in bed the other night, and this is more or less a quote from the creators. Okay. Now here's the kicker. Okay. This deck was created, I believe, in Santa Fe, New Mexico. And I have a very strong affinity to Santa Fe. So this move to the New Mexico southwestern mountain desert area seems to be something that I need to experience. There's a reason why I am here. And things before getting here have led me to being here for this time. Okay. And so, hence, I start my quest to find out what that is with the Vision Quest Tarot. So, you will be seeing this deck come up in readings when I do posts. It's, as I mentioned, when I saw this deck on Kelly's channel, I was like, that's it. This is the deck. It's been there sort of in front of me, but now is the time. So I'm going to get here in front. These are the major arcana. I like how our loyal companion here is now behind the Fool, howling out, calling out, and here's our spirit animal right behind the Fool. Medicine Man. Oh, beautiful card. Look at this one, Medicine Woman. It's our High Priestess. Medicine Man was our Magician. So the words are different, but look at the detail here. The connection to the setting sun or rising sun, the rivers. Wisdom, the changing of the moon. And I love how the Empress is now seen as the grandmother in this deck. Turtle, the wise one, and generational, embracing the generation that's with us. Grandfather, our emperor, the bison. I'm just loving this. A shaman, hierophant. Again, we have the connection of the crow, the wolf, crescent moon, lovers, a very gentle card. I love the frogs here. Spiritual warrior. Astrologically, as many of you know, all of that is going to be thrown out the window when I work with this deck. I cannot even find any connection astrologically to this deck. I probably could, but right now it's not there. I love the handprint, the blood, sacrifice. Actually, let me back up here. I want to see something here. Okay. 8, balance. The dragonfly for spiritual communication. Hermit. This is my birth card from my birthday of last month until next year. And I'm definitely feeling the hermit energy, traveling, going to a new environment, exploring further who you are. The small medicine wheel. Eagle. The wolf. Bison. I think this is a bison. I can't see very clearly. Life force. So again, these are all renamed to be fitting for the practice of Native American tradition, and of course Vision Quest. Transformation. Integration. Is this not beautiful? Or the rug. The work of the spider here. Torment. Different take on the devil. Chaos. A black horse. This is very hard because New Mexico, a few weeks, I think they're slowly being contained, has been hit with numerous fires. And people have been saying to me that they haven't seen this many fires, I guess, in the time that of of people in New Mexico living here. They haven't seen so many fires at one time. So this is very, very hard to see. You got the star, the stork, deliverer of the messages. The moon. Again, we have the howling wolf. The crab. It's on the cover of the sun. It's interesting, the hummingbird with the flourishing cactuses, which I see here in the neighborhood. It's very beautiful. This is how I end my my asana practice with arms wide open. Very similar to the energy of the flourishing cactuses. Spirit guide, normally seen as judgment. The eagle, wisdom, strength. And then we have the big medicine wheel, incorporating all of these fixed signs. We have our snake for energy, wisdom. Wonderful, wonderful deck. Alrighty, so I'm trying not to make this a walkthrough, and I don't want to make it too long. The suits, I will push through, not through all of them. Let's move this aside here. Very quickly. These two tools, because they are tools, I found recently, or not found, but I invested in. These are called Raku, R-A-K-U. It's actually Japanese, meaning pleasure. And you can find them online. There's quite a few shops that have them here, and they tend to have a message on all of them. I am fearless. And with me being strongly connected with the crow, there's one of the wolf as well. It was a hard one to choose, but I felt the crow was the one to get. So I got this. I think I'll get that wolf Raku soon. And here, the sun. When you go to some of these shops that feature different symbology in relation to spiritual practices, there's many to choose from, but this was the last one, or the only one I should say that I saw. So I got the sun, spiraling sun, manifestation, growth. These are just some stickers that I found, because some of you know I wear a dream catcher necklace. So I saw this, like a series of stickers, and it's like it. So the energy just continues onward. Okay. Okay, this deck was ordered in fire, air, water, earth. We're going to begin with fire. These are our court cards. It's the bison in the background. Someone made reference that this deck has Doth influences in it, and I think not directly Doth influence, but I think what they meant is just the pip depiction of this deck. Definitely not the court cards at all, or the major arcana. Here's our daughter of fire. Nah, maybe a little Doth there, but it's more pip oriented. Different tools used to represent fire, burning torches, arrows, clubs. 8 of fire. I mean, this is sort of doth influence with the key word, but different association. Nine of fire, inner strength. And usually we see this card showing someone who is just working very hard and using up all their energy. This is wonderful. 10 of fire, oppression. And here we go. I have to thank Justin Michael, who gifted me this with a little package that I received from him. So this is a deer antler that he found in the mountain areas of where he lives, and he sent me this, and I never got to see deer much when I was living up in the mountains, but the few times I did, those were very special events for me. Okay, this looks like it's going to end up being long, so let's see if I could do this in about 15 minutes remaining. So here we have air, father of air. Let's see something. Okay, yeah, just the feathers here. Could be an owl, mother of air, son of air, daughter of air. It's interesting because this deck, as mentioned, was printed in 1998. And just looking at this now, I still feel it's a deck that can hold up to the test of time. Hence, you know, having another reprint, edition 2021. I like the bending of the feathers here, showing weaknesses and the purpose of what feathers are used for guidance and for direction and protection. 4 of air. Yes. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. I'm so happy I have this deck. Very simple. And this can be used as well for ancestral work, which I believe many people who have this deck use it for, but I use this more for connection to, or I will be using this more for the connection of Native American spirituality, tradition. 9 of air, hurt. Not so much a painful card to look at. The same here, negative thinking for the 10 of air with vultures. Okay. Here we go. Water. Mother of water, look at this, I like this. In the water, son of water. Almost said Cancer. The sign of Cancer. Okay, old habits die hard, but it's not really an old habit. I enjoy astrology with the tarot so much. Daughter of water. The moon. Ace of water. Oh, beautiful. Very touching. 3 of water. Fullness. I like the way this deck, look at this 5 of water, the breaking of the bowls. 2 full, 3 empty. Pleasure, beautiful. Then we have 7 of water, excess. Wonderful. Bathing in the water, letting go, feeling emotionally full. Ten of Water, fulfillment. And I like how we don't even see the person. Ten of Water. Okay, if you hear me snapping, I don't know if you hear it. I'm trying to get Spirit's attention. All right, and now Earth. Father of Earth. You feel how the energy shifts. Connecting with the land, working with its resources. Daughter of Earth, learning from the family. Multicolored corn. Production, work. This is wonderful. Two of Earth. I could stop saying wonderful. It's kind of hard not to, but seeds, sprouting, growth. Wonderful. Oh, can't stop saying it. So interesting. Four of Earth, security. Then Five of Earth, insecurity. What happens when we don't spend the right amount of time? Or putting in the wrong kind of force into what we've been working on, making wrong choices, but moving, growing, progressing through those times. Interesting perspective for the Seven of Earth or Seven of Pentacles. And then the gathering, putting things into place. Nine of Earth. This is almost seasonal too when you look at this for the fall season. The pumpkins, the gourds. And then we have all of this put together. And things are well maintained, cared for, invested in. This is our results. It's a beautiful deck. I am looking forward very much. I'm gonna, as soon as I'm done, and I shut off this video, I am going to be doing a quick reading. I may bring it in with the Animal Spirit Tarot and just see where the guidance is coming from with this deck. But this is just an exceptional deck. And I wish more people knew about it, but at the same time, I'm kind of happy that many don't. Because I like to find little special diamonds with decks that aren't getting a lot of attention or use. So this deck for me is a diamond. In a manner of where there are so many decks that are coming out that are guided to so many different individuals. This deck for me is very unique, and please find respect when you work with decks that are focusing on different ethnicities, different cultures. Make sure it resonates with you. Look and see where the information of the creator is pulling their resources from. Here, as I said, it looks like this deck was created in Santa Fe, New Mexico. There's a large number of tribes up in Santa Fe. So the influence is there, the resources are there for the creator of this deck, Gayan, Sylvie, Winter, and Dosé, to create a beautiful deck. let me know if you do have this deck, what you think about it, how it works for you. And I'm happy to welcome this deck into my family of tarot. Thank you for everyone who is watching this. Remember to hold great respect to those decks that you have and that you work with the most. Alrighty. I will see you all soon. Look out for readings with this deck and combined readings with a few other decks that I have here that I mentioned. Any questions, feel free to contact me and to reach me through Instagram as well, through my website for readings. Have a wonderful week, everyone. Appreciate your patience. I will see you all again soon. Bye-bye.